Well, we've concluded another session, another part of the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship Program, the 2-year program. We've had another course, there's 2 years, so that we've had another year 1 part of that program complete. And then we've just had the individuals who've gone through both years, so year 2 also complete. And we're waiting for the in-person retreat that concludes these programs coming up this fall. It's been a wonderful time getting to know everyone in this program. It's been wonderful to get the feedback about the growth that has been made. You know, the way the program is structured such that we spend a lot of time focusing on the Bhagavad Gita in year 1 and the Yoga Sutras in year 2. And if you're interested in the full syllabus for the program, you can go to www.kriyayogaonline.com and go to the tab on the apprenticeship program. Many of you have come in with some preconceptions, and you've very quickly outgrown those. That's wonderful to see. Many of you have found your practice because you've already learned Kriya Yoga, you've already been initiated, or you just wanted to go a little bit deeper into the work. You found out how to do that. So I've gotten wonderful feedback in that regard. So I want to thank you all for participating. We are going to be considering some future training, because 2 years is a wonderful foundation. I tried my best to share within that 2-year period things for you to contemplate, things for you to do, things for you to study, so that you have a good fertile field to grow your Kriya practice in as your life progresses, because the whole process of Kriya Yoga, of yoga in general, is a lifelong practice. Meditation is part of it. Learning how to live as effectively as possible is part of it. Learning how to clear your mind out of philosophical obscurities. Learning how to develop discernment is part of it. Learn how to contemplate, how to practice spiritual contemplation so that you are actually interacting with this wholeness of life, with this self that you are. This is the whole purpose of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship. And you know, with those individuals who have completed the 2nd year now, and the feedback I've gotten, it seems to have done what my intention was for it to do. But overall, anyone who's practicing Kriya Yoga or meditation or any form of yoga that's a spiritual growth process, remember to take things slow. Remember to put things in proper perspective. Remember that yoga and meditation and what's taught in the Yoga Sutras, the yamas, the niyamas, pranayama, pratyahara, asana, and so on, those are a little out of order, but the 8 limbs of yoga, that they provide a foundation for your life to be a reflection of your highest self, and to realize that your highest self imbues all things in all moments. And you want to keep things in perspective, that yoga practice and meditation is not about making your world superhuman or making your life perfect, because your life is perfect. The troubles that come your way, they're there for a reason. The things that you're meant to learn, they are a part of, weaved into the very fabric of every experience and every person that you know. So you want to keep your meditation, your yoga, and your spiritual practice focused on what it is meant to be focused on, which is realizing yourself, that inner, eternal aspect of you, which is not subject to time or circumstance. But you also want to recognize that the practical things of your life, such as healing your mind, your body, and your consciousness, that is part of your Kriya Yoga process, but it is not necessarily the Kriya Yoga process that does that. That's why we have doctors, naturopaths, psychologists, financial advisors, physical education coaches. Those people, those professions, are to help you with navigating the worldly situation. And when you learn to navigate the worldly situation, you free up your time to be able to go deeper into your spiritual practice. Now, we're not in any way asserting that there is any kind of difference or boundary between the mundane and the spiritual. It is just for the sake of analogy, and you don't want to take this analogy any further than it's meant to be taken. There are certain layers of existence. And in one layer, the physical layer, you work from a physical perspective. From a mental, emotional layer, you work from a mental, emotional perspective. From a spiritual or causal layer, you work using those kinds of techniques that speak to that. They all interrelate, and that's why taking care of your everyday life as mundanely as you need to helps to balance your spiritual life, because it gives you more time, more energy, more ability. It allows you to practice brahmacharya, or the conservation of vital forces, such that you're not worried about things as much, and you can learn to let go and release your attachments to free your awareness to explore what you might call the inner realms, or what you might call your higher self. In the same way that when you free up the time to do that and you spend more time in meditation or practicing pranayama, that gives you greater clarity, greater ability for discernment, greater capacity to make better choices in the mundane sphere. So I know that in the beginning that can be very confusing for people, but realize that it's all interrelated, it's all interweaving, and there's nothing wrong with doing something on a mundane physical level such that your life is more orderly, because that helps with the spiritual. Just like there's nothing wrong with taking a step back from some of your mundane responsibilities every day for meditation or contemplation or spiritual study, and that helps to infuse and give more clarity and discernment to what you do during the day. It allows you to see, oh, the self actually is working through those moments when all I'm doing is cranking out emails, or all I'm doing is mowing the grass, or all I'm doing is, something that I consider to be mundane. And what you'll find is that the deeper you go and the more commitment you have to this path, and the more discerning you are as you walk this path, and the less you're given to fantasy, and that's a whole other topic that we could go into, you will start to realize the simplicity of it all. And you will start to realize the immensity of your consciousness, even in the most basic things. So that is why in this tradition, in this Kriya Yoga tradition, that is why in my books, in these videos, in these talks, in these classes, they are meant to be simple. And there's much to it that we have to pay attention to that we often overlook. For example, why is it important to practice non-attachment? Something we cover in detail in year 2 of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, how to do it even. What is a realistic or effective way to participate in something like prayer? Again, something that we cover, I believe, if I remember correctly, in year 2 of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship program. How to organize your life. How to organize your life such that you have more time for your inner work. We spent a lot of time on that in year 1, but also in year 1 with the exploration of the Bhagavad Gita, we explore just what it means to walk the spiritual path, because that is essentially what the Bhagavad Gita teaches us and shows us, is an allegory for that. And the final thing I want to discuss, which I've brought up a little bit in this talk already, is the idea of keeping things pure in regards to their purpose. And one of the ways to do that is to decide, what are you committed to? You want to take care of your family. You want to take care of yourself and your body because you need it. Having a healthy social life is beneficial for your health and your mental, emotional well-being. But what are you ultimately committed to? You can't have your mind divided. You can't serve 2 masters, as one Western spiritual book points out. And so individuals who have continued with the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship program, especially in the year 2 and beyond, I think they've realized that the highest commitment is to our self-realization, because not only does it benefit us as seemingly individuals, it also benefits everyone else, everyone in your family, everyone in your society. It might not be obvious, and that's okay, because if it was obvious, then it'd really be an ego trip, wouldn't it? But are you fully committed to waking up? Are you fully committed to applying what you have learned in the Bhagavad Gita, applying what you've learned in the Yoga Sutras? You know, when they go over the yamas and niyamas, or the behaviors to cultivate and the things to avoid, there's a statement in there that says, this is applicable. It's applicable all the time. It doesn't matter what your time, place, or circumstance is. These are always applicable. And if you're fully committed to this process, you will realize that, you will recognize that. And when it comes to practicing Kriya Yoga or any kind of meditation, as we go over in detail in the very beginning of the course, it's important to remember that you have to figure out what your motivation is. You have to figure out what your motivation is. And as described in the Bhagavad Gita, there are multiple layers and variations of motivation. Some people just want to improve their life. Some people want to have a spiritual experience as they define it. Some people truly do want to be completely and utterly free. And it's okay wherever you start, as long as you recognize and admit and are honest with yourself about what your motivation is, because that will change and you will grow in time if you are sincere about being committed to your spiritual path. But if you know your motivation, then you can work with yourself. You can learn how to inspire yourself to get up and meditate. You can learn how to inspire yourself to be more discerning, to be more disciplined. So always consider, as you begin any spiritual practice, and I'm just speaking about Kriya Yoga because it happens to be the path that I represent, always know your own personal motivation and be open to letting that motivation change and evolve and grow as you walk this path. And in time, you will move from a tamasic motivation, which is I'm in pain and I want to get out of pain, to a rajasic motivation, to I want to improve my circumstances around me, I want to change things, I want to be dynamic, to a sattvic motivation, which is I do it just because I love it. I do it because it's the appropriate thing to do. It's the tasteful thing to do. And then, of course, once you reach that, that's a wonderful place to be. You even go beyond the sattvic motivations. But the key is to be aware of your motivations. Decide what your spiritual path means to you. Start organizing your life such that you're able to give it the time and attention it deserves. Find the information you need to make appropriate changes. Find the information you need to meditate well. And then surrender. Trust the process. Trust the process. So, anyway, I look forward to continuing these Kriya Yoga apprenticeship courses. And many people have asked me about Kriya initiation. And if you want to learn more about Kriya initiation, my thoughts on it, there are videos on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kriya Yoga Online. But more importantly, in the book Kriya Yoga Vichara, you'll get my perspective on initiation, discipleship, and teacher-student relationship. But those of you who have asked me about learning and being initiated in Kriya Yoga, that was something that I was authorized to do by my teacher, Roy Eugene Davis, who was a student of Paramahansa Yogananda, learned directly from him, met him in person. But I don't do it very often because I like to have a sense of sincerity. And I like to understand an individual's perspective, why they're wanting to be initiated. So when it comes to things like initiation, it is from my own boundary, is that if you have gone through year 1 and year 2 of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course and you have completed it, you've completed year 1 and year 2 of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, then I'm happy to discuss with you Kriya initiation. So you have plenty of resources and opportunities to learn Kriya Yoga on this channel, youtube.com/Kriya Yoga Online. Just go through the videos. There's playlists that teach you the Kriya Yoga meditation processes, that teach you lifestyle and philosophy and principles, and those are free. If you want to support the work, there are downloadable courses at KriyaYogaOnline.com, an 11-hour Kriya Yoga training course, a 26-hour Yoga Sutras course. Explore that. Books, Kriya Yoga, Continuing the Lineage of Enlightenment, Kriya Yoga Vichara, another small book that I wrote, a fictional account of a discussion between Mahavatar Babaji and a student, Mahavatar Babaji and the Garden of Faith. Read these books, study them. Because you see, I know that you are self-motivated, and I know that you are dedicated, and I know that you have a greater sense of direction, I suppose, or calling, when you take it upon yourself to learn what you can by what is available, versus just trying to break down my door and I don't even know you and saying, hey, teach me Kriya Yoga. So that is why I have these available for you to learn, so you get a sense of the process. You start exploring it, you start being creative, you start seeing how it works for you. And then if you feel it is the right thing for you to do, you can look up the information on the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, read the application at KriyaYogaOnline.com, see if it matches what you feel you need spiritually speaking, apply, and then if you go through it after the 2nd year, we can discuss Kriya Yoga initiation, because by that time you will have a pretty clear understanding of what it is that I'm aiming to represent in this tradition, and what I'm aiming to share with you, and what I hope for you to embody by being a Kriya Yoga practitioner. So Roy Davis said one time that he heard Yogananda say, he was talking to, I think, some of the Self-Realization Fellowship monks, and Yogananda said, I like it when you understand what I say. I like it when you understand what I say. And then he followed up with, but I like it even more when I don't have to say it. So Yogananda said, I love it when you understand what I say, but I like it even more. I love it even more when I don't even have to say it. And so in my mind, if you've taken it upon yourself to do some preliminary study and engage in some of this little more arduous work, such as in the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, by that time, when you want to ask a question, and I do this very often with Kriya Yoga apprenticeship students, they'll send me a question about a life situation or a meditation situation, and all I really have to do is write back to them and say, okay, well, you've studied with me enough. What do you think I would say in response to this? What do you imagine I would say in response to this? And almost always they write back exactly what I would say. So, part of this whole process is making you autonomous in a way, making you self-dependent with a capital S, like self-realization. So you're able to tune into your own self, tune into your own experience of this wholeness of life. And that's why this training is so important, because it helps to discipline your mind, your activities, such that it becomes natural and easy for you to know what to do. You might not always like it, because our personalities pop back in from time to time, right? But at least you know what to do. And what you'll find is the more you listen to that inner guidance after you've developed a good meditation practice, a disciplined lifestyle, and some discernment, it becomes easy for you. It becomes easy for you to turn within and follow that self, which is the self in self-realization. Okay, so be well. It was good to speak with you again, and we'll be in touch soon.